Welcome, fight fans,
to the Fighters Voice Kick-Ass Podcast.
Your Fight Talk Authority.
Not to mention the most entertaining and talked about podcast with your kick-ass host, Richard ORTIZ.
You mad? Come at me, bro.
And his loyal kick-ass co-host, Senor Cole ESCOVEDO.
Streaming live and worldwide.
Coming to you all the way live from a little place somewhere in Cali. The Fighters Voice
Kick-Ass Podcast.
Fresno, California, we're live here in Mad Production Studios. We got a great show for you today. The Fighter's Voice Kick-Ass Podcast. Hey, Cole ESCOVEDO, the co-host with the most, the UFC veteran himself, he's on assignment right now. He got some free pass today. Today, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to the fair and he's taking his kids. I said, Cole, go have a good time. Just bring back a couple corn dogs, a couple tacos here and there, and, you know, we'll call it even. Because my man's having a good time, but he does have some breaking news for you. We're going to have a good time today. We're going to do a recap today. We're going to talk about last weekend's welterweight showdown with Errol Spence and Sean Porter. And we're going to talk some MMA. We're going to talk some boxing. We're just going to talk about fighting and life in general. I mean, because every time you wake up, man, it's a fight. And we're so lucky to be alive. We're fortunate. Well, let me take that back. We're blessed to be alive because I don't believe in the word luck because Jesus never used it in the Bible. Or did he, KP? Did he ever tell his disciples, hey, good luck? Nah, he never did. He never did. Enough said. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I have with us the one, the only. When I say the only, that I mean he's in his own category. This man has worked from the bottom up. He literally had a dream as a child, and now he's turned that dream into reality. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is Ramblin, Ralph Velez Jr. in the house. How we doing, Ralph?
What's up, baby? How you doing? I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure, man. Long awaited, man. Long awaited. And now you're on the Fighter's Voice Kick-Ass Podcast.
Glad to be here. I've been waiting for a long time to be blessed to be on this thing. You guys kick butt.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Hey, I want to talk about a little something. Right before you went on the air, you said, Rich, I got to go to the gym real quick. So I kind of pulled you up, and, man, you were there hitting the gym. And I got to let you know, my man, before I saw you, your feet were real flat. But you were throwing punches and bunches today. I was looking at those little combos, man. I wish I could pull that up, but YouTube would probably tag me on that.
Yeah, I have to be careful because I have a torn ACL, so I got to stay as statute as I can. But nonetheless, we still try to get it in.
Well, you know what? I needed to hear that. You know why, Ralph? Because I got, honestly, and it's my own fault, man. I don't go get it fixed. I got 2 torn ACLs.
Yeah, it's horrible. I've had 4 surgeries on it, and it's still, I don't know how these NBA guys do it. Is it stem cell, or, you know, these guys are multi-gajillionaires that are shaped, you know, better than, you know, most of the people walking around the earth. But, you know, I've had 4 surgeries on the knee, and it has not gotten any better. And it just feels like I never got it worked on. And these guys are having surgery and back on the court in 5 months later. So, you know, we're trying to, might have to have a 5th one here pretty soon whenever I get the chance to do it.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to have one too, man. It's both my left and my right. And my whole thing is, if I was an NBA player, or like you said, an NFL player, they'd have me on the field in no time. I want those doctors. You know what I mean? The ones that everybody's hiding them from. I don't want to hear, right. I heard this guy's good, this guy's good. I want the professionals. I want the best of the best.
That's right, baby.
That's right, man. But, hey, that's not holding you back, man. I mean, I see those hands going, man. That's good, man. Let them go. You look like you're in good shape, condition-wise.
Every time we you know, there's a fight weekend going on, you know, you always get that urge to get back in the gym, and it always motivates you. And we had a fantastic weekend of fights last weekend. So, you know, as soon as that Monday morning hits, everybody wants to, it's like a New Year's resolution for fight fans, you know. On Monday morning, they want to get back in the gym, and it's their New Year's. Every time there's a big fight weekend on Monday, it's a brand new year, so to speak, for fight fans. You know.
Oh, it is, and you know what? Boxing has no seasons; it's all year round, man. But let's get right to it, man, because we're going to be talking about that welterweight showdown in a few. But I got to ask you this: where did it all start, and where did Ramblin' Ralph begin? When did it become alive?
As a kid, my family always had carne asadas, barbecues. My father and my grandfather were.
Damn, bro, what's your address? Right?
Right? We got to bring you out of here.
That's right.
I want to get out to Fresno pretty soon, man. When you guys have one of your Ramirez cards out there, I see if I can get in, man. The thing sells out like in 5 minutes, so I got to try to get out there and ride the Fighter's Voice coattails so I can get in on one of those fights.
I'll be riding yours right back at you, my man.
Unbelievable. But no, in all seriousness, we as young kids, our family always had, the carne asadas, and we would all huddle around. Remember, everybody used to have those TVs with like furniture. It was like a furniture top TV, and back then we'd have 20, 30 people that would come over and
for the Chavez fight.
I've been a big fan of boxing for a long time. My father, at 8 years old, took me to my first match, boxing match. It was first fight was Louis Sharpshooter Espinosa. He took on Jorge Paez. I got to see that here in Phoenix at the old Coliseum, and I was hooked. And I didn't go to another live fight until it was my friend's birthday party. We were in Vegas, and we went out to check out the crowd. It was Roy Jones against John Reese for the heavyweight championship. And I had I was like 21, 22 at the time. And I had maybe a little bit older, but I was in my 20s. I know that. And I went out and I had like $100 on me. And this guy's like, "Hey, I'll get you in the fight for $40. I said, "No way." He says, "Yeah, I'll get you in." And he had a lanyard, and I gave him $40, and he snuck me in, and I got to see an amazing fight. And right then and there, I was hooked. I started coming out to all the Vegas fights, started making friends, and I'm going to be honest with you, I tried to make as many friends as I could, so I wouldn't have to pay full price for these tickets, because in my late 20s and 30s, the tickets were still very expensive. And I was just a big fight fan, but I always was enamored by Michael Buffer, Jimmy Lennon Jr., because when I was a kid sitting on the couch when my family would come over, it was him that we were watching on, the Chavez fights on Showtime and the Tyson fights before Tyson moved to Showtime.
Yeah, the old Don King Productions.
It was Jimmy Lennon and Buffer. When I believe it was Tyson. Lennon's first fight was Tyson and Douglas, and that was on HBO. So we got to see a lot of those two, Buffer and Lennon. I just became a big fan. And then, wrestling came around. The 80s were around. Hulk Hogan was big popular, and of course, I was a big fan of his. And I got to see, Howard Finkel, which a lot of people don't really know. He's probably one of the baddest announcers that ever lived and walked the face of this earth. And the guy's only like 5'4". So here I am as a kid, with my wrestling dolls. I'm recording my mimicking, Buffer and Howard Finkel, and thinking that I was them, and bringing my wrestlers into the ring. And I always just told myself, if I had a chance to announce, I was gonna do it. I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but I was gonna get into the industry some way, somehow. And it wasn't until I was 32 years old. I'm 40. I'm going to be 41 here November 5th. But it wasn't until I was 32 years old that a friend of mine, Jesus El Martillo Gonzalez, he was making a comeback. He is from Phoenix, and a promoter from Canada happened to sign him, and it was in the newspaper. So I'm sitting there reading the Sunday newspaper, and I'm having breakfast, and I see the article, and I said, "This is my shot." This was like a calling from God, like, "Okay, dude, you've been wanting to do this since you were a kid. This is your opportunity." And we've all, Richard, had an opportunity at one point or another where an opportunity came up to announce or interview somebody where we're like, "Wow, this is my shot. This was meant for me to happen." And we knew it inside that we were going to land this gig, or we were going to get this interview, and we were going to nail it. We just were going to do it. And it was all the paths just led to this way. So for some reason, when I opened that newspaper, I knew that I was going to announce this fight, and I just knew it. So I called the Canadian promoter. I said, "Look, I'm Ralph, and I have to say that I fibbed a little bit. I told the promoter that I had been doing all the Muhammad Ali, rest in peace, rest his soul. I had been doing all the Muhammad Ali Fight Night charity events, and I had been doing a lot of tournaments here in Phoenix, when in reality, I had been doing inside my room with my wrestling dolls for the last 10 or 15 years. And just when we had my friends would come over, and we'd have the Nintendo Mike Tyson Punch Out, I would turn the volume down, and my friends can tell you that they were so pissed off at me because I wouldn't let them hear the volume. It was just basically me announcing these guys, and they would get so pissed off at me, but they allowed me to do it because they knew how passionate I was about it. So lo and behold, the Canadian promoter's like, "Look, send me a demo." And what I did was, I had an old voice recorder. I made the demo on the voice recorder. I sent it to my friend who does music. He's in the music industry. He put it in a synthesizer, fixed it up for me, sent it back to me. I sent the email over. They liked it. And I said, look, I'll even do this card for free. I know it's going to be some kind of a club card. I'll do it for free just so you can understand, that I'm really passionate about this.
Yeah.
So the guy said, okay. It was Fan-Based Promotions out of Canada. They had Jank Trotter and Jesus Gonzalez, a bunch of guys that ended up fighting Adonis Stevenson at the end of his career. But so they gave me a shot, and it was supposed to be this small club card at the Celebrity Theater, 1,500 people. And he calls me back, and he says, Ralph, I got good news and bad news. Which one do you want? I said, well, of course. I need the bad news first. Nobody wants good news and then, to end on a sour note.
Right.
He said, the bad news is we're not doing the club card anymore. It got canceled. I said, well, damn it, and here I am on cloud nine, Ortiz, like excited and just ready to fulfill my dream and just get out there and go crazy and make my dream come true. And then I get deflated. So he said, but I got good news for you. He says, we picked up ESPN Friday Night Fights because of the All-Star baseball game was supposed to be played in Arizona. So it was that same weekend. He said, so ESPN's already going to be here. So we bought the slot for Friday Night Fights. I said, I would love to be there. You're probably going to bring in Thomas Schreiber or, someone that's already been around the sport for a while. And he says, no. He says, I gave you my word, and you're going to do the show. I fought with ESPN. They don't even know who you are, but you're going to be on the show. So
wow.
I basically had fit my way into a national broadcast on my very first show. And, you as well as I know that even club shows, when you're barely starting in the industry, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You have no idea, pausing, timing, if the fighters are coming in, do you announce them there? Do you announce them here? Yeah. So it was a crazy situation, and I just prayed. I prayed, and I said, God, if I'm supposed to be here, we've got to get through this show. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to pray, and I'm just going to pretend that I'm in my room at 8 years old, and we're going to, like I'm playing with my wrestling dolls, and we just went ahead, and we did it, and we actually broke some records on that show. We had the first, one of the first 3D shows and one of the first shows to be on the ESPN3 platform.
Right.
We didn't even know it. I was getting ready to go up in the ring, and the producer yelled in my ear, hey, good luck. We got about half the world now on all these ESPN platforms break a leg. So there I go, out of pressure, and ended up working out. And to make a long story short, we went from that. I started working with a local promoter here, Iron Boy Promotions, who I got to thank Roberto Vargas for bringing me in. He brought one of Floyd Mayweather's fighters to fight one of his guys here. I was announcing the card, and they were filming the fight on the phone. Somebody saw it on a platform. They sent it back to the office. Floyd and these guys liked it. I got a phone call, and I don't know how they got my number, but somehow they got my number. I ended up answering the phone. I said, hi, who is this? And they're like, this is Mayweather Promotions. I said, yeah, right. I thought it was one of my friends that was playing a joke with me. I hung up the phone. They called back 20 seconds later. They're like, this is Mayweather Promotions again. If you hang up on us again, we're never calling you back. We liked what you were doing there. We liked the way you announced our fighter. Floyd wants you to come up, and the rest is history. I've been there 3.5 years, and I'm so blessed to be a part of that company.
Wow, that is a great story. KP, pull up that picture of him as a child and him now. Don't we have that? Yeah, go ahead and pull that up. No, the one, it's split screen. Him and his, I wasn't gonna say him and his son, but it's him as a child. If not, let me send it to you again. Yeah, hold on real quick, Ralph, because I want to make sure that we get that, because that's a great moment right there. So, what do your friends say about you now?
They really encourage me. They encourage me. They support. They go out to the shows as much as they can. I've got a group of friends who, it doesn't matter if the show's in Milwaukee or Las Vegas or California, they always make the trip out there. As a matter of fact, we're doing a show, Showbox November 1st.
Okay.
And the tickets were on sale at noon, and my friends have already bought tickets. They encourage me, and I'm pretty blessed to have friends and family that pick me up and encourage me, because you know as well as I do, it's a grind, and we try to do what we can to stay afloat and be positive.
No, but you're doing it, man, and you got an opportunity, and you got the desire of your heart. I mean, that doesn't just when you got that blessing and you were so happy with it, you embraced it, God said, you know what? Hold on, I'm going to give him a little more. Nothing that he can't contain or nothing that he can't handle. And like you said, the rest is history. You ran with that blessing. You cashed that blessing in.
When I felt that blessing,
there you are. Hold on real quick, Ralph. We're looking at that picture right now. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Ralph as a child right there. His friends are probably saying, hurry up, I want to watch the fight, or I want to hear the PlayStation or what have you. And then you see him now, today. That's a before and after. That's a great story right there. Go ahead, Ralph. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, no, that's okay. It's the blessing that when I felt that truly was when I got to go to Japan to announce Floyd.
I was about to tell you that. Let me tell you a quick story on my end, okay? Because that came on like about 2:30 or 3 o'clock our time, California time.
Yes.
Yeah, about 3 o'clock. I get on there, and my wife goes, what are you doing? I go, no, I got to watch this. I got to watch this. I got to make sure what's happening. And I said, look, that's him. For a little while, I saw you sweating a little bit. But when you announced Floyd, I'm going to go on record. That's probably the best. You nailed it, bro. You completely nailed that one. Period.
Thank you.
You really did.
I appreciate it. And the thing of it is that, it was a very difficult situation. I got a little bit of flack on Twitter for like not announcing weight classes and stuff. But when I got there, as soon as I got off the plane, it was literally 1:30 in the morning, their time, the night before the show, and they wanted me to rehearse. They have a very, very structured show from where the announcer's supposed to stand to where the referee stands. Even they had Kenny Bayless in there practicing, and Kenny looks at me, he says, have you ever done this before? I go, no. I said, but this is the biggest show that Ryzen has had. I mean, this is gonna make or break their company. And sure enough, the next day, we went there. It was 50,000 people there, Richard. Yeah. I'll tell you, it was and I wasn't nervous. I was just in awe of the people. They were there from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. They had 2 cards. It was like 30 fights, and they were there all day. I guess they do that every New Year's Eve. It's a big celebration. Yeah. And every single person stayed to watch that fight. Every single person. And they said, let's try not to announce the guys because in Japan they have a lot of structure. They're very polite. I said, well, look, I said, not to be mean. I said, but let's buck the trend a little bit. Let's do it Vegas style. Let's announce the guys like we would in Vegas. And I promise you that Japan's going to cheer for Tension. I promise you they will. And they let me do it. And I'll tell you, there was a roar for that boy. I mean, that's like their Conor McGregor. Tension is their hero. Yeah. And it went off okay. And even though Tension lost the fight, he has become a rock star all over the world. And so is that promotional company. I mean, they're killing it right now. And it was a very, very, very cool and blessed situation to be in, and I was glad that I was able to be a part of it.
No, that it doesn't get any better than that or any bigger than that. I mean, you were the platform. You were the whole world was watching you. I mean, you made a cat get up at 2:30 in the morning, my man. That's real talk, like I told you before. That's real talk.
I appreciate you. Like you, and I'm proud of you too for doing the Garcia work. I watched that on a stream. That was fantastic work. B-Fly. I said, B-Fly, you got to take care of my man Richard over there, and he's a good little cat. And I was proud of you too. I mean, we are just trying to live our dreams out, and your podcast is great. And I think you guys are doing a wonderful job. Thank you. And especially in your area. I mean, you're getting to where when you come into Vegas, you're already known. You got big interviews. You're interviewing the biggest guys. And I think it's awesome that you guys have not let up. The podcast, I mean, you were one of the OGs of the podcast, man. Like everybody now has a podcast. I mean, I'm even thinking about like getting involved somehow in the podcast, but you guys are the OGs, man. You started your podcast a long time ago, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. So I got to give you guys props for sure because I listen to it as much as I can. You guys have really good guests on there, and you guys are fun to listen to. So again, I appreciate you. I'm proud of what you're doing, and your interviews in Vegas are top notch. Your the way you carry yourself and the way everybody is running that production down there, it's top notch. So congrats to you guys as well.
I appreciate that, man. We got a great team, as you know. Couldn't do it without the team. The fighter's voice, it exists because of the team, the people that are behind the scenes, the people that are putting in the work, and just trying to catch that break, that opportunity, man. But I'm not going to sit here and just wait for it to come out the air. So trying to take some steps forward,
Oh yeah, definitely. And I would be not good teammate if I didn't want to give a shout out to my team real quick.
Yes, go ahead.
Kenny Craig, Mayweather Promotions, and Nicole Craig, who handle a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Of course, Leonard Ellerby, who fights for me to get work as much as I can, and I appreciate him. And we have a lot. Again, you guys do your production, and a lot of people don't understand what the work that it takes to just get one of these on and get it done and get it cut and edited and whatever you guys have to do. There's a lot of things, even on club cards, people don't realize the stress, the staff that you need, the amount of volunteers you need, even for ticket taking.
You know what?
It's crazy,
Ralph, you're absolutely right. I mean, and I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, KP, our producer here, he doesn't sleep. He actually sleeps here at the studio at times. And I know, and I'll say this right now, I could be a pain in the ass because I'm a perfectionist. It has to be perfect. It has to be right. Did you know till this day I have not hit the show yet? I'm always thinking, okay, that was okay. It was okay. I haven't hit the show where you look at it and say, or listen to it and say, okay, that's it. And I used to have a buddy. I'll tell you a quick story. I used to have a buddy, and I would look at the show and listen to it. And he goes, you like looking at yourself, huh? And I said, is that what you see? I said, I see 5 mistakes I made. So every show I look and I try to find, I find my mistakes and I want to learn from them and correct them, as you do.
You and I are alike a lot because I try to look in the flaws of how can I get better. And I think we do it for, not for us really, I think we do it so that when people are watching, right, when they're watching your podcast or your interviews, you want them to say, oh man, like, yeah, I got to subscribe to this. I'm not going to miss any more interviews.
They deserve our best.
Any more podcasts, and even if I feel like I hit a good show, like, man, I hit that one really, really good. Like, even the Japan one, I really thought I could have done better. And I guess we're just two peas in a pod when it comes to that because we always want to do better for the fans. Not really for us. Like, it's, I messed up here, I messed up there. But that's just the way we are, and we do it because we want to make sure that what we're doing is correct and the fans are getting the best out of us. That's all.
It's almost a responsibility that I embrace. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. Even when you're I'm going to ask you this. I'm sure you have. Have you ever done a show, I'm sure you have, under the weather with a sore throat or maybe like flu symptoms or it just wasn't your day physically, but the show had to go on?
Yes, I actually have 2 shows where I actually was really under the weather. The first one was, I got to give a shout out to Raging Babe. She really had a really good thing going on in Arizona, and we had a show, and the day before I was coming down with this crazy flu, and I was hot, and I was like, man, please, Lord, please don't let me catch a flu here. So Raging Babe, Michelle Rosato's like, what's wrong with you? You look like, you're sweating, like you jumped out of a pool. I said, Michelle, I feel horrible. I said, but we got to keep going on. We're streaming, and I couldn't just kind of do it from the outside. So 102, we got in the ring, and we did it. And then this last Mayweather show, the last Showtime show, I had been sick for 4 days, and we do a stream on Facebook before we do the actual show. So I literally had no voice, and we hadn't even started the Showtime broadcast. So again, I just prayed. I ate about 18 cough drops. You know what?
Yeah, I know that.
We just got to go for it. So, yeah, there's been plenty of time. And I think, too, sometimes we psych ourselves out, too. Like, I've had a couple of times where I'm like, man, I hope I don't get sick. And then, like, 2 days before the show, I'm like, man, I'm getting sick. And then a day before the show, I'm like, yeah, I'm sick. And it could be a lot of a mental thing, too. I try not to think about it. But, a lot of my friends say, man, you always get sick before the show. I'm like, I think it's mental, or I think it's just maybe stress as opposed to stress and trying to prepare and not getting enough sleep. I get excited, man. Even on the club shows, the day before the show, I'm excited. I'm up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm trying to picture what I'm going to do, how we're going to walk out, how the entrances go. I go through my entrances and my intros at least 500 times in my head, no lie.
That's right.
The week before the show, I'm in the shower. My kids are like, shut up. They're just like, stop with your announcing. I do it pretty much all week just because, again, I'm like you. I try to make sure that I get it right so that by the time we're in there, I've done it a couple hundred times. And I try to find out the last names. Like if we're doing Filipino names or Latino names, I try to find out the names ahead of time. I'll inbox them just so we can get it right. Because again, nobody likes their name said wrong, and I guess I'm just like you in that sense.
No, I mean, I'm sure you know these fighters, Ralph. They go to sleep at night. When they're sleeping at night, they're dreaming. They're dreaming of them being announced, of them getting ready to. First of all, they're dreaming about the fight, but they love being announced, and it goes through their head over and over again. So you got to give them exactly what they want and then some.
That is correct. I agree with you 100%, and that's why I go through it as well, because I want them, even the kids that are 2-0 and 3-0, maybe they may never get to a world title fight or even a smaller title, but I still try to make sure that they are announced, like if they're on a pay-per-view, because again, not a lot of guys make it to that level, and unfortunately, that's part of the game, and some will fizz out, and some will just not have the skills to be at that championship level, but at least they got to be on a stream, on a Facebook stream. Mayweather, they do the whole show, so it's like a DAZN card where, I'm going nonstop for 5 hours, and we have to, every fight for me has to be like the main event because these kids deserve it. So sometimes we leave exhausted, but it's part of the game. We're lucky and blessed.
Hey, yes, you are. Hey, coming up, what was your pet peeve, man? As far as like announcing with promoters or shows, I just got to know because I have a few of them. Where you talk to yourself and you go, man, are you serious right now? You know what I mean?
I have one, but it's the chaos. Like, when we're getting ready and I get the printed out sheet, right? And again, it could be a culmination of why this happens, but there always seems to be some kind of switch and say it's a 6-round to a 4-round, or the guy has a different record, or I try to double check and triple check as much as I can. Yeah. But my biggest pet peeve, if I get the information and I've double checked and it's supposed to be right, and I'm announcing this guy's record, and all of a sudden the fighter is like looking at me like shaking his head like, no man, that's not my record or whatever. That's my biggest pet peeve, because again, I want to make sure that they don't walk out of the ring like, dude, this guy couldn't even get my record right, he couldn't even get my city right, if I say, oh, he's from Bakersfield, and they walk up to me, man, I'm from L.A., man. Okay, you're from L.A., I got it. We're going to fix that. But they don't understand that we're getting the information from the promoter. They're getting it from their managers. And, again, it's just a trickle-down effect. That's my biggest pet peeve, I wish we could have all the information correct, because these guys get offended. Even local guys here, we announced a guy, he's from Mesa, Arizona. We announced him from Phoenix, Arizona, and his family was getting ready to jump into the ring because they wanted Mesa, Arizona.
Hey, they're about neighborhoods too, man.
They're very proud of where they're from, and we try to make sure we get it right. But if I have to say pet peeve, I would say that would be the biggest pet peeve for me, is the information sometimes doesn't come as clear or direct as the fighters would like it, and we just have a disconnect there. But above all else, everything else is, we, as you've experienced it, we have to be on the fly. If things change within 2 seconds, and we have to be able to adjust like chameleons. Yeah. That's why we're able to do what we do. Not everybody can do what we do,
Hey, I've had a judge give me the wrong winner, right? And so the judge says, my bad. No, okay, what? But you didn't tell everybody else in the crowd that it was your bad?
No.
Yes, he did. And I'm looking at it twice. I'm thinking, this guy really won? There's no way. Yes. But then he said, hey, my bad. I'm sorry. I apologize. He apologized to me. But, yeah, I had to be on the fly for that one. And, hey, you live and you learn, man.
That was in California?
Yeah, it was in California. It was actually Stockton. I don't want to drop dime on them, but, yeah, Stockton, California. But they got a great promotion team, Toscano Promotion. They're doing it big, man. They're starting to expand and starting to make a name for themselves, giving these professional fighters an opportunity. And a lot of them, that's all they need, man.
That's awesome. No, you know what? I have to give it up to these guys. Like, I tell people, they tell me you must be excited when you do the Showtime cards. I am, but at the same time, the fighters and the fans really kind of miss out that are there, because we cannot go off script. If we're doing a club card or a stream, we can kind of play with the crowd, throw out shirts, get the fans involved, play different kind of music. Yeah, that's true. When we're doing these other shows, it's really difficult because there are such a time crunch. Everything has to be to the second, and unfortunately, we have to kind of dumb it down for the network. But again, I'm blessed to be there. I'm working really hard to try to give the best to the fans, but again, the club cards for me are pretty fun because we get to adhere to the fans.
Yeah, kind of freelance and go along with it, so to speak. Bring some celebs in the ring or somebody that's at ringside, get to acknowledge them on your own, and just get kind of run with it a little bit.
That is correct.
But Joe, man, you're doing a great job, and you told the story, but there was more than before Mayweather promotions, right? You were on Showbox as well, and you were on some other events. Do you remember when you said to yourself, "Okay, I got this. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life"? Do you remember when you said that to yourself?
Yeah, it was after my very first bout, the ESPN card, because I got through it, and I had a couple of people like Joe Tessitore, who was the announcer, and at that time it was Teddy Atlas, and I remember I walked down to them and I said, I hope I didn't ruin the show. It was my first time, and he answered back. He says, that's your first time. He says, but I'm pretty sure we'll see you again. You did okay. So I've become really close with Jimmy Lennon Jr. because Jimmy Lennon, out of all the announcers, and Joe Martinez, those two guys are the ones that have really helped me and critiqued me. I sent that video over to Jimmy Lennon Jr., and he says, "Ralph, that'll be the first of many cards for you." And it just so happens that, on occasion I get to open up for him on some of the PBC cards, and we've become pretty close. The man is unbelievable. Yeah. He is a legend, and he is very nice to anybody he wants to learn. That's the coolest thing about those two guys. Shouts out to Joe Martinez and Jimmy Lennon Jr. is they don't turn anybody away. If you have questions, even myself, I'm still learning as we go along. It's almost, like an ongoing thing where even though the game is the same, there's still new things that you can learn, new timing, new way to stand, new way to breathe, everything, and these two guys have helped me out a lot. And it was that moment when he sent the email back and said, "Ralph, that'll be the first of many cards for you. Congratulations. Keep up the good work." And from that day forward, I said, okay, if this man is telling me the truth, then I got to really work hard on it. So I pretty much spent every day of my life trying to improve, and not only just myself, but the sport in general. You do a lot of things out there for the fighters. You try to improve the sport by your platform, and I try to do the same thing as well. We don't just get into this for being greedy. I want to help these fighters any way I can. You see what they go through. You see their training camps. You see sometimes these lower level kids don't really get the pay for what they put out until they get to a certain level, and you just try to give back as much as you can. And if it's an interview of getting you guys out to their fans, it's what you do. And if it's putting a picture out for them, it's what you do. Because we do whatever we can to do what's best for the fighters.
No, you're doing a great job, and you're expanding your career, my man. Like I said, I reached out to you, was it a couple months ago, and I said, hey, I like those interviews. Actually, I said that was a badass interview. I liked it. I enjoyed your energy, your questions, your awareness of the camera. You nailed it, man.
Yeah, you know what's so crazy about that is, thank you, I appreciate that. When that video comes out, I actually got dressed in a bathroom at the Red Rock Casino for that show. I actually didn't have a room. They messed up the room. It wasn't the gala's fault or anything like that, but just somehow I showed up too late and the room was sold. Okay. So I actually got dressed for that event in the bathroom at the Red Rock Casino. We got it all on film, and it's going to come out pretty soon. There you go. I had a really crazy day that day. We were doing a Floyd Mayweather back-to-school drive, so we were in 3 places within 2 hours. It was nuts, and that's going to come out pretty soon, and you'll get to see. I actually got dressed in the bathroom, and I was a wreck. I basically just put on my coat when they made me go out there. And again, but you're a natural, Richard. It's just like, you do it. And if you're real with the fighters, if you're real with the promoters, if you're real with these celebrities, that's all they want. They want real. You're real, man. You do your interviews. You're like me. I just shoot the bull with them, man. Like, let's really talk about what's really going on. That's one of your phrases that you use. Let's really get down to it. Let's really talk about what's really going on. And I love that about you, that you can get to that level to where it's like, hey, we're all friends here. And that's the way I try to treat this, because at the end of the day, we really should be all friends, and we really should be all supporting each other, because without them, there's no us, and without us, there's no platform for them. So.
No, exactly. And at the end of the day, they're just like us. They're human beings like us. They just happen to be on a big platform. And, you know, they worked for that. They earned that. They earned to be champion of the world. They earned the fact to people recognize them. They're recognized wherever they go, and very courteous. And to take the interview, a lot of fighters decline interviews for whatever reason. I respect. And at the end of the day, man, we just try to give them the best at all times, man. I treat every interview like it could be the last, and you never know.
Yes, sir. I want to throw that question back to you, though. When was your moment? When did you know, like, hey, this is going to be my life, man, because you're doing a hell of a job. So for me, I want to know when that was for you, where you just said, you know what, I love this, and I'm never going to let it go, and I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to hoard it, and I'm never going to release it. When was that moment for you?
Well, you know what, I've always was fascinated about boxing and MMA, and it wasn't until I wanted to do something. I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, my son went to heaven, and I spoke at my son's service, and I told everybody, I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something and dedicate it to him. And just give my all. And going into it, I told myself, I didn't know exactly. Am I going to wear hats? Richie wore hats. Am I going to wear polo gear? He loved polo. And I was just searching and searching, and everything just kind of fell into place. So I knew it gives me a platform to keep my sons alive. So after every interview, every show, everywhere I can, it's always a thumbs up for Richie. So if it's just that moment right there, if it's just that split second, I just know that I don't have a plan B. I don't. And until my last breath, I'm going to give it my all. My son once told me, because my son, Ralph, he never gave compliments. And I'm doing a Bellator show, and I just happen to be on TV in the background. And he texts me, and he says, nice fit, which means because I was wearing a nice jacket. And then he said, I'm proud of you. So to hear those words, it just keeps me going. And when I said I would do it, it was after that moment. But as far as that interview where it had to be Sugar Ray Leonard, because I knew I had to bring my A game. I know I had to be at my best. And after the interview, I said, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I used to have being on a radio show, and I never done radio. They asked me, hey, you want to do radio? I said, yeah, I never heard from that guy. 3 months later, they just threw me in the water, man. Threw me in the water. I didn't know commercial breaks. I didn't know the time, the segments, the awareness, and nothing. Long story short, I fell in love with it.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
I'm scared
that's
to do
me.
radio. I'm scared to do radio. I actually thought about it as well. I am definitely afraid of that because of that reason. You don't know what button to press. You don't know what's going on. You have no idea. And look at you. You learn on the fly. That's awesome.
Man, I've been spoiled, man. I got a great producer, man. I do. I really do. And you know, you hear those stories, okay, well, I want you, but I don't want the producer. I don't want anything. Nah, we're going to find somewhere with him, some shape or form. He's coming with me, so he already knows all that. And, you know, you hear those stories, okay, well, this guy picks you up or this company picks you up. No, you're coming with me. And it may be a different title you're having, but you're coming with me. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. I do really quick want to give a shout out to a certain family that really helped me out along the way.
Sure, let's hear it.
There was a time frame about maybe 5-6 years ago where, you know, a lot of the big names were still doing a lot of shows. There wasn't a lot of shows to get involved. I was trying to find my way, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. You know, there's always a certain time where even though you know that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, sometimes you run into roadblocks. Nobody's calling you back. You want to make sure that you're putting your name out there, but you're getting nothing in return because there's guys already that have those gigs. But
yeah.
It was one day where Jose Benavidez Sr. called me up. We've been friends for a long time. I've known little David since he was, 265 pounds, trying to spar with, heavyweights at 13, and people would laugh and make fun of him, and he would still get in there. And he says, I had tore my ACL again. Like I told you, when I had my knee surgery, I couldn't walk for like 18 months. It was horrid. I tore the whole knee out. I didn't really finish my therapy. I was, depressed or whatever. And he says, look, I don't care what you tell me. I don't want to hear any excuses. You need to get your ass over here to my gym. He says, you're going to train with David and Junior, and you're going to train with me and my wife. He says, you're going to start this meal plan, and we're going to drop weight. He says, because I'm telling you right now, you keep going the way you're going, and nobody's going to hire you. It doesn't matter, whatever. Yeah. You're becoming an excuse. So, lo and behold, man, I went the next day. I didn't think I was going to make it. We went up to this mountain. David and Junior take off, and they're of course they've been running forever. They're way ahead of me, and I'm making a half a mile. I feel like I'm gonna die. And Jose's like, no, keep going. Even if you have to race walk, keep going. And they did this with me every day for at least 2 years.
Wow.
And they never stopped believing in me. And Jose's like, you know what? You're damn good. You need to stop believing in what people are saying. You got to keep going. You do not listen to anybody. You don't take no for an answer, and you keep going. And I'm telling you, at that time, too, Junior was not really fighting that much, and they were kind of like at a standstill as far as a family was concerned. And this is before David actually was, making a name for himself.
Right.
And it was crazy how God works. So I get a call from the Mayweather people. They're like, okay, Jimmy Lennon has already committed to a show in Europe. It's some big show. He said, so you're going to do the show at the Hard Rock. I said, okay, perfect. I had no idea who was doing the show, who was going to be on it. I had no idea. All I know is that one of their fighters, Ronald Gavril, was going to be on the show. Lo and behold, they called me back and said, okay, we got a title shot now on the Showtime card you're doing. Ronald Gavril versus David Benavidez. And I tell you, I started to cry because this boy, I've known him since he was 8 years old. When he was 260 pounds, he lost 100 pounds and was doing everything he could, became a gym rat, came from the same neighborhood I did down here in South Phoenix, and I was getting my first title shot. WBC, being able to announce the first WBC title shot ever.
World title shot, yeah.
And David is fighting for that same belt. So if you go back and, the video, it's really odd because I'm announcing him from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm looking across, and I'm trying to hold back tears because it's like, dude, I seen this kid when he was 100 pounds heavier, and now he's here fighting for a title, and I'm announcing him, and again, I love them both. It was a hard day for me because Ronald Gavril is a Mayweather fighter. Yeah. He is my family, and yet here I see like my little brother David across. I didn't really want anyone to lose that fight because they were both my friends, but it's part of the nature of the beast that we have to go through, and it was a special day for me. So I want to give a shout out to that family because they've gone through a lot of ups and downs in the career. Like the David just went to the pinnacle again, and I want to give a shout out to them because they actually they saved my life, and it was something that I'll never be able to repay them with any kind of dollar amount, but to pull me out of that dark space, to get me going, to get me to drop some weight, to get my confidence back up again, it truly helped because at the end of the day, we both got to achieve our dreams in the same ring, on the same night, on the same fight. Exactly,
man. That's a wonderful story. KP, pull up that picture. We got my man with David, the picture that I sent you earlier. Let's see if we can pull that up. Yeah, I inboxed them you later. They're on your inbox. Let me see. I'll send you one right now. Let me see. Because I wanted to go with that story right there. I mean, that's a great picture. When I saw it, I knew it. I'm going to send it to you again. Bear with me, my man.
Oh, so good, brother. I'm loving your platform. I listen as much as I can. And
thank you, my man.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're going to post that picture right there with you and David. David's rocking that shirt, man.
Oh yeah, he's a Versace. He loves Versace.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's earned it, like he's still humble, and yes, David, he does speak, what's on his mind, but he basically, they came from basically training all in a little room in downtown Phoenix, and now they're achieving their dream.
Hey man, WBC super middleweight champion of the world.
Oh yeah, two-time.
Two-time. Yes, that's right. I mean, it never left him. He had to go through what he had to go through, a life lesson like any other human being. Came back, and we had, you know what? Let's talk about this real quick. We were talking about this card. We had with the privilege and honor of having Callie Swanson on the show, and we were talking about the main event, but we talked about the co-main event. And I talked about when I spoke to David. He said, "Richard, I got a lot to prove, not just for the belt, but to everybody that wrote me out, basically." So, I was rooting for him, man, and he did exactly what he said he was going to do, and he did. Now he's back on top.
Yeah, I got to give it to David. Any athlete that goes through something like that, it takes a very long time to be able to get your reputation back.
Yeah.
Right away, whether it was from his team or his father or just his conscience, he says, look, I was out here in Vegas, I messed up, I'm barely 21 years old, I'm out here, you know, where there's this life is different than what I'm used to growing up in. I made a huge mistake, and I'm sorry. You know, sometimes even in life, whether it's business or relationship or family, sometimes all you need is just to say that you're sorry, and the healing can begin. A lot of times we all have made excuses about something, you know, and we try to pretend that it's not the real case, or you try to swipe things under the rug, but sometimes all you really need is an I'm sorry to the person that you've offended. And in this case, it was, you know, all of boxing, but he did what he had to do, and he promised that he would make amends and he would win the title back, and he did. And that's why I think that picture with him and his father kneeling down and hugging each other and embracing each other really hit home, because that was a lot of, you know, they carried that. Carried that. You know, the father, I mean, this is the dad, he can't get away from it. Yeah. They're asking questions about that every other day, every day. And it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough. They can't run from that. And now maybe they've exercised the demons, so to speak, and they can move on with the career.
No, I mean, you know what? He has a new platform now. He has a new beginning. I mean, he's there, and he's exactly where he needs to be. And it's well-deserved. He put the work in. He had to go through whatever society wanted to label him as, or whatever they wanted to call him as. Like society never made a mistake, or society never failed. But like a true champion, he got back up. And he earned where he's at.
And even if it's just like not that they're you know, friends of mine or whatever the case may be, but it's the dad, right? So the dad had no boxing experience. He had no training experience. He goes and takes his kid to the wild card gym, starts letting him hit the bag, starts watching Freddie Roach. They like Junior. He learned from him there. But basically, this guy is self-taught, and he's got two sons that have become world champions. Like self-taught, like watching videos and stuff. Two of your kids have become world champions. I just find that totally unbelievable.
No, that's a great story right there, man. You got some great stories to tell, man. You got to let loose, man. We got to have you back on. That's what I'm saying, because these stories, you can tell a story, but when you're telling it, you can actually visualize it. And there's a difference on someone who tells a story, especially because you were right there when it all began. You were part of that story, part of that journey. You're with them on that journey. I sent you another picture, KP. I don't know if you got it or not. But no, man, and to continue to embrace the fact that it's okay to be blessed, man. It's okay to take it to another level. A lot of people are afraid of success, but you embrace it. You've seen it before it even happened. You call things as if they're not as if they are, and it came to pass.
Yes, and for that, you know, I think that God puts a certain fire inside of our souls. I truly believe this. Like I said, as a kid, at 5 years old, I was already practicing my ring announcing with wrestling, and 7, 8, 9. I just kept it going, and again, for my friends, I owe them so much. They would let me turn the volume down on the Nintendo and to keep practicing. It was just something that just morphed into, okay, there is no doubt in my mind. I have been practicing this for the last 20, 30 years of my life, and it didn't happen until it was 32 years old. It's just so weird. It's almost like the Michael Duncan Clark, I think that's what his name is, the actor that, you know, came out of Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. Shit, and Samuel Jackson. They didn't get acting roles until their mid-50s. You know, Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman was 55 years old when he did Lean On Me, and then he became a mega star after that. Yeah. Like, you know, we just can never give up.
No one's exempt from being blessed, man. And run with it, man. Embrace it. Embrace it.
There's one thing that I can teach anybody in life. Like, you know, I make a lot of mistakes. Sometimes I post stuff that I shouldn't post, and I get kind of upset about things. It's just, you know, sometimes I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I shouldn't. That's something that I do need to work on as far as keep my emotions in check. But, you know, if I could just reach out to one person and say, you know what, you have a fire inside, whether it's drawing, whether it's cooking, whether it's fixing cars, whether it's painting, whether it's, you know, fixing the home entertainment centers for people, and you're a badass at it, or you're designing computer games, or whatever the case may be. If that's what you know in your heart, that's what you want to become, like, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to be it. You just do it. You do it, and you do it, and you do it, and you eat it, and you breathe it, and you sleep it. This isn't a journey that is the end. I want to change boxing completely. And I'm not saying as far as announcing. I want to try to better the sport, to help fighters, to do other things with them as far as like getting them income or set up with pensions and everything. Because honestly, we get to see the back end of it, and they live a rough life. It is rough. Combat sports athletes, they go through hell to just make weight, and yet they sacrifice so much, and their family sacrifices so much, and yet we have not turned the corner as far as doing something back for them, as far as getting them income outside of boxing, and yet people have tried, but they really haven't bought into it. So before it's all said and done, before I announce my last fight, which I hope is when I'm 70 years old, God willing, that we tried to do something for them to change the landscape of that. Because I see it, it hurts me that these guys are going through so much, yet I'm there because of them, and I have to find a way to give back. So we're working on that, and when it's done, all said and done, I'll let you know about it, and we'll try to get you informed on it. But we got to give back, and you're doing your part, but I have to do my part as well.
No, you know what? I wanted to talk to you about you're raising money. I believe what was it for, a bullying or something?
Yeah.
You care to share any of that? Exactly what's going on there?
Yeah, I've got two things going on. The first thing is when I first got into the business, the first time I actually got to see what was going on, I didn't realize that in California and these states they get taxed immediately at 33% right away, plus their trainers, plus this. It doesn't leave a whole lot of money left over for a fighter, especially if they're fighting a 4 or 6 rounder, right? So I came up with an idea like, okay, what if I do merchandise for these guys and build them a website? And, that didn't work out, obviously, because a lot of these guys don't really want to sell their own clothes, or they don't have time to, or it's very difficult. So, I'm just trying to come up with something that will enable these guys to make some money off of their likeness on the outside of boxing. We're almost done with that, and I myself am doing something here locally with a bullying campaign, because I'm seeing it's getting worse, man. The bullying and the suicide with these young kids is getting really bad, especially in my area. We've had a bunch down here in the last 18 months. So I am going to do the biggest bullying campaign that the sport has ever seen. I'm going to try to bring some champions in. I'm going to try to bring food trucks. We're going to do a dance for the parents at night. We're going to do a whole weekend out of it, because if I can just save one kid, Richard, 1 or 2 or maybe even more, but if we can just get one kid to change his mind, to not get bullied and just to defend himself, and not with his hands, but teach him that, yes, names and being called and being picked on may hurt, but it doesn't mean that you have to take your own life. And that's something that has really hit home with me. I'm seeing it every night on the news. It's bothering me that I can't do my part. So we're going to do it. We're going to step up, and we're not going to talk about it. We're going to be about it. We're going to.
That's right.
Do the biggest, baddest bullying campaign that the world has known, and we're going to bring in some people and some of these local fighters, and we're going to teach these kids not only to defend themselves, but to defend their souls, to defend
exactly.
Their mind.
Very well said. Very well said. Not just the physical part, but defend themselves for the right to breathe, to want to go forward, to want to say enough is enough, and I'm going to go ahead. I know life is not fair anyways, but I'm going to continue to live and live it as full as I can and give it my best. I'm not going to let anybody stand in the way. And you give them that confidence, Ralph. You give them, to let them know as if to say, hey, somebody does care, somebody does understand. I'm here, I've been there, I've done that, and I'm going to surround myself with some people to inspire you, and you know what, just give you time to listen to you.
That's right. Because if we can save one, man, that's good enough. And again, we like to reach out to as many kids as possible, and hell, we might even take this to other cities as well. I just want to make sure that
that's a good idea.
This is done. We can get some local fighters from each city to participate in this, because it's a nationwide thing. It's a worldwide thing. The bullying is getting bad.
Yeah.
These kids are the self-confidence is getting destroyed. And again, I don't want to blame the Nintendos and the PlayStations, but when we were growing up, it was different because we didn't have that. So we had to go outside and play. We had to play sports. We played baseball.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to play Little League and baseball my whole life until, I was 20 years old, and it kept me going. It kept me striving for something. A lot of these kids don't really get the opportunity. So we got to figure out a way to involve any kind of sport or any kind of activities along with this bullying, because I really, truly believe that if there's activity or sport involved, it saves kids' lives. And I'm a true proportion of that. I grew up in South Phoenix, one of the toughest neighborhoods in Phoenix, Arizona. And I tell you, me playing sports all my life kept me away from so many things. And I truly believe that's the pathway to working this. So we're working on that as well.
Well, you're doing a good job, man. Hey, I got some relatives in Phoenix, Arizona. Last name Perez's. Yeah, the last time I went, we buried my uncle. But it gets hot in Phoenix, man.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that Central Street? Is that the main street? Central, I think it is.
Central,
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, it was years back. But yeah, I need to get out there. I need to get out there.
I need to get out there too as well. I'm telling you, when they have another card, I'm going to be joining you out there. I've got to experience that. Because, it's one thing watching it on television, 13,000 people going crazy. But again, as once you're inside that arena, it's a completely different ball of wax.
Oh, it is. It is. I want to take this time now. I want you to join me on this right here. I want to give, as a fighter's voice, our condolences for Javier Garcia in the family. We lost another warrior, I believe it was yesterday, and we're going to take this time and we're going to give this warrior, this combatant who now has wings, a traditional 10 count. So whenever you're ready, KP. Rest in peace, my man. Yeah, man. I mean, boxing is full of. You got the other end of boxing, and he's a warrior, and a lot of people are going to feel his loss. So again, condolences to.
Actually, when I read that, I was pretty shocked.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about some events that we have here, and I got to give a shout out to the one and only. That's where I'm living right now, Fresno, California. The No. And speaking of No, the No Town Throwdown, October 11th, Fresno, California, 1635 East Street, and Jesus Haro is in the main event. The main event. This young man, future professional. He's in the main event. It's for the Police Officers Association. Listen, Fresno, there's only 10 fights. We're not going to string it out to 18 fights. After the show, you can go have dinner with your wife or your friend, or go have a good time, or go to the after party, but make sure you're there. That's October 11th, Fresno, California. And we're going to have young Jesus Haro on the show leading up to that week, and let this young warrior talk about what he's going to do inside of the ring and what motivates him to continue to love the sport that we call the sweet science. So, and I also want to give a shout out to our sponsor. That's Harris Miles, my man, Miles Harris, attorney of law. Listen, if you're going through something, whether it's child support, it could be a ticket, or accused of something you didn't do, go look under Miles Harris and tell him the Fighter's Voice sent you and get your 10% discount. He's probably saying, Richard, ease up on that. And also Rico Red Wave Tattoo. Listen, Rico, we're waiting. He went on camera and said it. I tried reaching out to him. He said, Rich, I'll get back to you. I'm going through a lot of training, and that's Andy Reese Jr. He said he'll come to Fresno, California, and get some ink by Rico's Red Wave Tattoo in Fresno, California. So, hey, anybody you want to thank, Ralph? Come on, man. I know you got some sponsors. You thanked all the people that are with you from day one. There's somebody that helps you, somebody that inspired you, man.
I just want to give another shout out to all the promoters from day one that allowed me to hone and work on what I need to work on. I mean, it's even the promoters I don't even talk to anymore. I mean, we've got Iron Boy Promotions from the beginning, Fan Base Promotions, Raging Babe. We've got Roy Jones Jr. Promotions that I work with. Raising the Cage, Mayweather Promotions, Shane Mosley, who gave me my first title shot ever on CBS. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. And again, I'm blessed, man. We're blessed, and I thank you guys for allowing me to be here. We have to stick together. As much as cutthroat as this business is, we have to stick together because at the end of the day, we are all what is going to carry the sport into the next level, into the next generation. We're still the young cats in the business, so we have to make sure that we strive to be our best, so everybody to work together and to make sure that we carry it on for the generation.
Hey, right on, my man, right on. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank our guests right now. Subscribe to the channel, www.youtube.com/The Fighter's Voice. That's www.youtube.com/The Fighter's Voice. This link will be out ASAP. Ralph, I'm going to send it to you, my man. Enjoy it, cut it, split it, take any soundbite you want, post it. I'm going to find something real nice because there's something that you said that's kind of sticking with me still, and I'm going to post it. I want to make sure I tag you, man. It's been an honor and a privilege. I mean, watching you grow and watching you take these steps. I used to watch you take baby steps. Now you're taking monster steps, man. Monster steps, and you're getting there and you're doing it, and your feet are still on the ground. You're level-headed, and you got a great game plan, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. One more shout out to Mama Val out there in Heavy Hitter Promotions in Milwaukee. First promoter I've seen to use not one sponsor, and she's done 2 cards, and she's fantastic. She's given back to that region out there, Chicago, Milwaukee, so shout out to her as well. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Stick around a sec, Ralph. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your show. I'm Rich Ortiz with The Fighter's Voice, your host, The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. We're simply knocking out the competition. And with guests like this, gives The Fighter's Voice notoriety. We continue to move forward, giving him a platform, and yet he's giving back. The man got to tell a story that needed to be heard. He got to tell a story that's going to touch lives. He got to tell a story that even touched my life. Just listening to his story touches lives. He's here for a reason. He's using his platform that he's been blessed with and giving back sevenfold and receiving those blessings sevenfold. Again, Ralph, I appreciate you and I appreciate what you're doing. As always, hey, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week.
Remember.
It's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.